Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode Recap and Thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the Funimation dub of episode 93 of Dragon Ball Super. Picking up where we last left off, we begin this episode with Goku suggesting that Frieza take Buu's place on the 7th Universe team for the Tournament of Power. The other characters at Capsule Corporation right now are baffled that Goku would think to suggest Frieza of all characters. Goku then explains that he heard from Dende that, much to the dismay of King Yemma, Frieza's soul hasn't passed on to the other side because Frieza refuses to repent for his past misdeeds. And Goku thinks that they should have fortune teller Baba bring Frieza back to the mortal realm for 24 hours. Baba has demonstrated this ability in previous series of the franchise. Baba has demonstrated this ability when she brought Goku and Vegeta back to the mortal realm during Dragon Ball Z's Buu saga, and she also demonstrated this ability when she brought Goku's adoptive grandfather back to the mortal realm in the classic Dragon Ball series. Shin doesn't like the sound of this idea because he feels that Frieza can't be trusted and won't cooperate with them, but Goku reasons that Frieza would likely be motivated to still exist, even if it's more for his own sake rather than anyone else's. And he brings up that they don't have many other options with their universe's existence at stake. And Goku also figures that anything that Frieza would try couldn't possibly be worse than their universe being erased from existence. Vegeta insists that they can win the Tournament of Power without Frieza, but Goku inquires Whis if Whis thinks that Universe 7 can easily win the Tournament of Power right now. The Universe 7 Angel Assistant admits that he doesn't know a whole lot about the other universes, but he has heard rumors that one of those universes has at least one mortal who is stronger than a destroyer, and that destroyer is stronger than Beerus. Beerus insists that he only lost one arm wrestling match to this other destroyer. Krillin admits that they may need Frieza's help with the Tournament of Power after all, and Goku assures the others that Vegeta and himself can defeat Frieza if the evil tyrant does try to betray them. So Goku locks onto King Yemma's energy signature, and he uses instant transmission to get to King Yemma. None of the characters at Capsule Corporation, however, realize that someone with blue skin wearing a red hat is spying on them. So Goku does teleport to King Yemma's office, and he quickly tells King Yemma about the Tournament of Power, the fact that the participating universes that lose the tournament will be erased from existence, and his plan to have Baba bring Frieza back to the mortal realm for 24 hours so that he can participate in the tournament. King Yemma begrudgingly agrees to Goku's request. He makes a point to mention that he thinks Frieza is the type who isn't likely, if at all, to repent, and he also requests that Frieza be taken care of off-Earth if Frieza does act out of line, because King Yemma doesn't want to deal with Frieza again. So King Yemma instructs one of his assistants to take Goku to Frieza. The next scene takes us to Universe 6, and we see Caulifla is trying to encourage Kale to unlock the Super Saiyan transformation, since Caulifla had unlocked the transformation in the previous episode. Kale, however, doubts that she will be able to unlock the transformation. So Caulifla and Cabba both demonstrate powering up to the Super Saiyan form to help Kale out, and Kale does agree to try and unlock the Super Saiyan form. Kale isn't able to unlock the Super Saiyan form, and Cabba thinks that Caulifla's description of unlocking the transformation wasn't the most clear of descriptions. So Caulifla suggests that they try to provoke Kale to anger in order to unlock the form. Caulifla goes first with trying to anger Kale. Caulifla uses primate insults on Kale. And then Cabba tries to insult Kale next. And Caulifla becomes angry at Cabba's insults towards Kale, even though Cabba points out that angering Kale was Caulifla's idea. Kale grows more upset when she sees Caulifla arguing with Cabba, and she admits that she thinks of herself as getting in Caulifla's way. Yes, she thinks of herself as getting in the way of Caulifla. And Kale's anger towards herself is what causes her to unlock the Super Saiyan form, but not the regular Super Saiyan form. Oh no, Kale unlocks a form that resembles Broly's legendary Super Saiyan form, but according to supplementary material, the form is called Super Saiyan Berserk. And Kale, in her Super Saiyan Berserk form, says that she will make Cabba her first victim, or she says something along those lines anyway. The next scene takes us to Universe 4, and we find out that the spy from earlier is from Universe 4. The spy, voiced by Brandon McInnes, tells Universe 4's Destroyer, the Mouse Destroyer, about how Universe 7's characters plan to have a dead mortal on their team for the Tournament of Power. Universe 4's Supreme Kai is surprised to hear that Universe 4's Destroyer sent out spies to other universes. We also find out from the Universe 4 Supreme Kai that the Universe 4 Destroyer's name is Kitela. And yes, Universe 4's Supreme Kai disagrees with Kitela sending out spies to other universes, thinking that the Omni-Kings would not approve of this. But Kitela brushes off the Universe 4 Supreme Kai's concerns. He also reveals the Universe 4 Supreme Kai's name to be Kuru. And Kitela brushes off Kuru's concerns by saying that the Grand Minister never said that there was a rule against using spies. And Kitela then inquires the spy about the name of the dead mortal that Universe 7's characters intend to have on their team. And the spy confirms that Frieza is the name of this mortal. Back in Universe 7, one of Kinyema's assistants takes Goku to where Frieza is. Frieza is still hanging from the tree in a cocoon. And Frieza is definitely surprised to see Goku pay him a visit, and Goku inquires Frieza about how he would feel if he could return to the mortal realm for 24 hours. Back in Universe 6, Kale, still in her Super Saiyan Berserk form, is shown to have lost her sense of reason, and she's continuing to attack Cabba with no mercy. Cabba suspects that Kale's anger is because Kale has the mistaken belief that Cabba and Caulifla working together is a sign of Cabba replacing her, Kale. And Cabba says he knows for certain that they need to return Kale to her normal form to calm her down. Cabba isn't able to reason with Kale, and Kale proceeds to launch an energy attack towards Cabba. But Caulifla manages to unlock the Super Saiyan 2 transformation, and she deflects the energy attack. This calms down Kale a bit, and then Caulifla then proceeds to tell Kale that she isn't into someone like Cabba, and she also praises Kale, mentioning how she is her best friend and her sister in arms. And this hearing this is what causes Kale to return to her normal form, but she's also unconscious. And since they were flying, the unconscious Kale is now falling to the ground. So Caulifla catches the unconscious Kale before she falls to the ground. Back in Universe 7, Goku frees Frieza from his cocoon and has told the evil tyrant about the Tournament of Power and what's on the line for losing the tournament. Frieza does admit that Goku has piqued his interest, or the Tournament of Power has piqued his interest. And when Frieza hears that he will only return for 24 hours, Frieza says that he will join the Universe 7 team, but only under the condition that they use the Dragon Balls to wish him back to life. Goku says that Frieza isn't in a position to bargain with him, but Frieza tempts Goku with the possibility of a greater challenge. Yes, Frieza says that he's been thinking of ways to have a rematch with Goku and ways to become stronger, which would prompt Goku to want a challenge, because he knows Goku gets a thrill out of a challenging battle. And Goku does admit that Frieza knows his weakness, but Goku also counters that the winner of the tournament will receive a wish from the Super Dragon Balls, and reasons that Frieza could wish to be brought back to life with the Super Dragon Balls. But Frieza comments about how that suggests that even if the 7th Universe team wins, Frieza himself may not necessarily be brought back to life. So Frieza reasons that the Earth Dragon Balls will be enough for him, and Frieza also says that he will only agree to join the 7th Universe team if Goku promises to bring him back to life. So, yes, Goku does make this promise, and so Frieza agrees to join the 7th Universe team. And Goku prepares to leave, and he says that Baba will be coming to bring Frieza back to the mortal realm soon. So Goku then heads over to Baba's palace, and he finds out that King Yemma already caught Baba up to speed with the current situation. Baba also requests a present as payment for her help. And so Goku offers her the Zeno button, but Baba makes it very clear she doesn't want the Zeno button. So Goku says that he'll bring some other present later on, and he proceeds to fly off. Back in Universe 4, Kitela tells Kuru that he's come up with an idea to interfere with Universe 7's last-minute preparations for the Tournament of Power, and he also comments to himself about how Beerus is the one who's going to be erased from existence between the two of them. We then head to the Null Realm, where we see construction for the Tournament of Power arena continuing, and that is how we end this episode. So there you go. This episode is where Goku actually goes to recruit Frieza to take Boo's place on the 7th Universe team for the Tournament of Power. And Frieza does agree to join the team, but only under the condition that they use the Earth Dragon Balls to bring him back to life. Now, it's worth pointing out that, throughout Dragon Ball Z, it was established that the Earth Dragon Balls can only bring someone back to life once. Goku was brought back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls in the Saiyan Saga, but he couldn't be brought back to life again by the Earth Dragon Balls in the Cell Saga. And this also happened with Vegeta. Vegeta was brought back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls in the Frieza Saga, but he wasn't brought back to life with the Earth Dragon Balls in the Buu Saga. And from what I can remember, I don't recall them ever adjusting that rule. I think that rule is still in effect right now, from what I can remember. So, yes, that was a detail that some fans did pick up on when Frieza requested that the Earth Dragon Balls be used to bring him back to life. Now, if you have read up or seen through the subversion, or if you've read up on the details of later episodes and the end of the saga, or if you've watched the end of the saga through the subversion, then you know what's going to happen with regards to Frieza, but I won't give that away for the sake of the dub-only viewers. So we'll cross that bridge eventually. And another detail with Frieza, according to the credits, the credits say that Damon Mills voiced Frieza in this episode. Damon Mills is Chris Ayers' understudy for the role of Frieza, because Chris Ayers had been Yes, around the time when the recording for the end of the dub for the Golden Frieza saga was happening, Chris Ayers was suffering from some health complications towards the end of the recording for the dub of that saga, and so Damon Mills had to fill in for some lines. So, yes, I have heard that Chris Ayers... Now, we might still get to hear Chris Ayers voice Frieza throughout the Universe Survival Saga. It's possible he might still fill in. I think from what I understand, he has recovered enough where he can return to voicing the character, but he's also on standby for a surgery to help his recovery along even further. That's how I understand it anyway. That's from what I was able to gather. So, yes, it makes sense we might be hearing Damon Mills fill in for Chris Ayers throughout the Universe Survival Saga, but there is a possibility that we might still get to hear Chris Ayers play Frieza during the saga. So I just thought I'd bring that up. We might be hearing both Chris Ayers and Damon Mills play Frieza during the saga. So that's just a heads up for anyone who's curious about that. But I have to say, I think Damon Mills did do a good job filling in for Chris Ayers in this episode, assuming that the credits didn't make an error or there wasn't a mistake in the credits. And speaking of voice artists, Dawn Bennett, Kale's voice artist, got to demonstrate her range while playing Kale in both her normal form and her Super Saiyan Berserk form. And yes, I think Dawn Bennett does a great job playing Kale in both normal form and Super Saiyan Berserk form. I think she did a very good job playing those two forms of the character. And speaking of Kale, yes, Kale has unlocked one of the Super Saiyan forms at least. Maybe not necessarily Super Saiyan 1, but she did unlock Super Saiyan Berserk. So she would be the second canon female character to unlock a Super Saiyan form. And again, this depends on your definition of canon, where you stand on the canon debate for the franchise. That is one of the most intense debates of the franchise. And in addition to that, Caulifla has become the first canon female Super Saiyan 2. Again, depending on how you define canon and where you stand on the canon debate of the franchise. But she's also the first Universe 6 Super Saiyan 2. That's another detail. And yes, I do know that there were some fans that took issue with Caulifla unlocking the Super Saiyan 2 form quickly after she unlocked the Super Saiyan 1 form. Although other fans have pointed out that it has been established that Caulifla is a prodigy, and Caulifla, at this point in time, is stronger than any of the Universe 7 Saiyans were when they unlocked the Super Saiyan 2 form. Yes, she was stronger than any of the Universe 7 Saiyans were when they first unlocked Super Saiyan 1. And yes, Caulifla at this point in time is stronger than Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, and Future Trunks were when they unlocked the Super Saiyan 2 form. So yes, I didn't really mind Caulifla unlocking the Super Saiyan 2 form the way she did. Pretty much yes, because not only how strong she is at this point in time, but also because Caulifla is said to be a prodigy. And I guess I might as well bring this up now, just a small detail, but later episodes do establish that although Caulifla has unlocked the Super Saiyan 2 transformation, she hasn't really perfected the form, so to speak. So yes, that's another detail that I think is fair to point out right now. Just because Caulifla has unlocked the form doesn't mean that she has a good understanding of the form, or she hasn't got a feel for the form just yet, even though she's unlocked the form. So again, that's another detail for why I didn't really mind seeing Caulifla unlock the Super Saiyan 2 transformation when she did. And yes, speaking of Kale and the Super Saiyan Berserk form, going back to that detail, yes, I had mentioned before that Kale in her normal form does resemble Broly in his normal form. And yes, Kale in her Super Saiyan Berserk form definitely resembles Broly in his legendary Super Saiyan form. And that's no coincidence, but I think that's safe to say. There was an interview there was an interview with some staff members from Toei Animation, and they did mention in this interview that Kale was created based on Broly's popularity, and Akira Toriyama had came up with Caulifla. Yes, Akira Toriyama created Caulifla and designed Caulifla after he saw Kale's design. Yes, it sounds like, yes, from what I gathered from that interview, Toei were the ones who created Kale, and they came up with Kale's design, and Akira Toriyama, in response, created and designed Caulifla to bounce off of Kale, like character dynamics. Yes, bounce off of Kale with character dynamics. That's from what I understand from this interview. And it does help to show how Dragon Ball Super is more of a collaborative effort compared to initially Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, where Akira Toriyama mostly came up with the storyline for the manga, or manga if you prefer, and Toei Animation had based the anime off of Akira Toriyama's manga. Although, to be fair, even when Akira Toriyama was coming up with the story for Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, he still listened to some suggestions or advice from his editors. So again, it was mostly Akira Toriyama coming up with the story for Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, but there still were some collaborative effort, even if not to the same extent as the case is for Dragon Ball Super. But it's an interesting detail, and that might be something to explore in greater detail at another time. But yes, Broly is very much a very popular character, and as of the recording of this video, there is also some notable news with regards to Broly, but I don't want to give too much away for the dub-only viewers, because this news does relate to details after the Universe Survival Saga, so we'll cross that bridge at a later time. Yes, Broly is very much a popular character, but he's also... Yeah, you could say Broly is a base-breaking character. Yes, Broly does have a lot of popularity, but there's also some fans. Again, I don't know if I'd say necessarily a lot of fans or just a vocal amount of fans. But yes, there are some fans that really hate Broly's character, and I know of certain big-name fans that really don't like Broly, to say the least. And now, for my own take, yeah, maybe when Broly's movie trilogy, the 8th, 10th, and 11th Dragon Ball Z movies, when they were released in the United States, I definitely remember a lot of hype for Broly. And some might say Broly got a lot of hype, maybe more hype than they really would have anticipated. But I kind of feel like these days the opposite extreme has happened, where Broly gets a lot of hate from some fans, and some big name fans in particular are rather vocal about their hatred for Broly. And most of that has to do with Broly hating Goku. To quickly summarize for people who aren't familiar with the 8th Dragon Ball Z movie, Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, there are some fans that hate Broly because they insist that Broly only hates Goku because Goku cried a lot when they were babies. Now, for me personally, though, I don't think of it that way. Or back when I was a kid who first watched Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, my interpretation was that Broly didn't really hate Goku because Goku cried a lot when they were babies, but more Broly associated Goku's crying with the near-death trauma that he endured around that time, a result of post-traumatic stress disorder, if you will. And there have been a lot of back-and-forth arguments over which interpretation is more valid, Broly just hating Goku for crying a lot, or Broly suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Because on one hand, I've seen some fans that argue that anyone that thinks the post-traumatic stress disorder interpretation are just trying to make Broly's reasons seem less dumb than they actually are, while other fans have accused the fans that think Broly just hates Goku for crying a lot are intentionally being stubborn and not reading between the lines just to make his motives seem dumber than they actually are. And Yes, there's been a lot of back and forth with that argument, and this kind of does bring up a little debate I've also seen is like, while when it comes to explaining details in a story, obviously you want to strike a balance with how much you explain. You don't want to over-explain, but you don't want to under-explain either. And unfortunately, it's not always easy to find that balance, and so there have been debates over what's the greater evil or the lesser evil between over-explaining and under-explaining. And I guess if you want my 2 cents on it, if I had to pick a lesser evil between over-explaining and under-explaining, I personally feel that over-explaining is the lesser evil compared to under-explaining. And my line of thinking for that is because, at least when you over-explain, it leaves little room for confusion. Whereas with under-explaining, a lot of people will refuse to really listen to any interpretation unless it's spelled out word for word, letter for letter. And some people might brush off the idea of reading between the lines. So yes, ideally you want to find the balance when it comes to explaining, but yes, I would consider over-explaining to be the lesser evil compared to under-explaining, but I digress now. So, any other details? Yes, another detail about this episode was we got to see a bit of Universe 4. We didn't really get to see their preparations for the team itself, per se. Like, we didn't see them the recruitment process, but we did see that Universe 4 was spying on other universes. Kitella was the one behind that. And I did like how Kuru had voiced disagreement with Kitella's motives to spy, even though Kitella kind of brushed off those concerns. Yes, Kitella brushed off those concerns by saying, like, oh, they never said we couldn't spy on them, even though that does seem pretty underhanded. And yes, while some of the destroyers some of the destroyers already come off being ungrateful jerks for jumping on the Blame Goku bandwagon, but Kitella in particular, because of his underhanded methods in this episode, some fans do find Kitella to be the least likable of the destroyers. And yes, let's just say in later episodes, those sentiments do increase for some fans. I wouldn't be surprised if the dub-only viewers grow to dislike Kitella a bit more, or have a love-to-hate sort of view of Kitella, if that makes sense. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if Kitella isn't the dub-only viewers' favorite destroyer, or some of the dub viewers, at least. Yes, everyone's going to have different preferences, of course. And another detail I liked was, I liked how we got to see King Yemma and Baba appear again. And, yes, so otherwise, yes, I would say that's about it. So it's safe to say we'll be seeing what Kitella's plan is to sabotage the 7th Universe team. We'll get to see that plan in the next episode, considering how close we are to the Tournament of Power starting, and Kitella wants to sabotage the universe that Beerus is from. Oh yeah, that little detail, it's pretty safe to say that Kitella's animosity towards Beerus is that whole situation where cats and mice, pardon me. Yeah, that whole situation where cats and mice oppose each other, that whole idea. Whether it goes deeper than that, I don't think they really go into much greater detail in the show itself, but but yeah, I'm sure some fans have come up with some interpretations, but I do think, yeah, it's mainly meant to be a reference to cats and mice not liking each other. But otherwise, yes, there we go. So, yes, we've talked about this episode now, and we're getting closer to the Tournament of Power. So there we go for now. As of this video, we've now discussed the Funimation dub of episode 93 of Dragon Ball Super on this channel. Take care, and until next time.